Welcome back, everyone. I'm here to share my story today with you all. My father was diagnosed with cancer, and it was the most heartbreaking day of my life. I still remember crying on his shoulder in the waiting room of the doctor's office in the hospital. He refused to get cancer treatments because he believed that God would have a plan for his life, and he didn't leave it into the hands of the medical system. Also, he wanted to spend time with all of his family. I am so much like my father. Being his daughter and knowing that he was refusing any treatments, I was so nervous and sad to lose him. I knew that my time left with him was very precious, and I didn't know how much longer I would have with him in my life. Life was very stressful for me, and I was so devastated about how sick he was. I was working at Tim Hortons when I got a phone call about my father passing away. I almost fell to the floor in tears. I still remember my manager handing me the phone with that look. We all went to the hospital to say our goodbyes to my dad. It was one of the hardest days of my life. This isn't fiction, but my real life. So once a Tim Hortons coffee girl, then dating a millionaire worth $50 million. Now I am living out of hotels and traveling the country. A woman who chose boldly going after what she wants and does it with bravery, authenticity, and all love. I am a real woman, a wife, a sister, a daughter, a friend, and this is my real story. This life didn't always feel that way. It was once a dream, something I thought was only available for a few. I chose to become a woman who naturally lives in gratitude, who naturally faces her fears, who naturally steps into her discomfort, and who naturally continues to rise no matter what happens. Let this be your evidence, your proof that anything is possible. This life is full of surprises. If you have been watching me for a while or just found me, it's no coincidence. You are meant to see the truth of my life so you can realize the truth of yours. It all started on the day my sister introduced me to his son, that she would babysit daily. This is the day that my whole life completely changed forever. His whole family was born into a very wealthy family with houses and assets galore. It was English wealth from England. When you walked into their house, it had this sort of money feel, and it was very rich vibe. They acted like they had money trees and that money was never an issue. $50 million is quite a bit of money. I still remember my first Christmas with them. We had fruit and veggie platters, seafood platters, steak and potatoes, veggies, deviled eggs, fancy salads with fancy toppings, fancy cheesecake, fancy cheese and crackers, pastries, and that was just the appetizers. The gifts under the tree at the mansion were piled high, and the stack of Christmas cards were huge as well. I received so many gifts and gift cards that day. It was kind of like 10 Christmases into one. We ended up moving into a house together for a couple of months, and then we ended up moving again. Then the day came, and my boyfriend and I settled into a nice big house. I was wondering how everything changed, and well, it all started the day when these men showed up in black suits at my door. They were here to meet with my boyfriend, and they all had a meeting at our dining room table. I still remember making tea and coffee for everyone with baked goods. I would make cookies and stuff for them, so baked goods were the cookies. They asked me if I could attend the meeting too. I was so puzzled to why they wanted me to attend and what was the topic going to be about. They went on about this organization and how they wanted my boyfriend to join the program, and he needed my approval to join. They asked me if he could join because it would mean he would have to go to meetings weekly for the organization. So they wanted to make sure that it was okay with me before he signed up and went into the organization. I gave my approval for him to join the group, and he also had to pay monthly fees to be part of the organization. And he also attended meetings every Tuesday of each week. I was also attending dinner parties with him once a month, and they were so extraordinary and extravagant. Royal settings were on the horizon, and tabletops were big like a royal wedding. Huge chandeliers, just like in the royal movies, like you see on the Titanic movie. The food was gourmet and served by a chef that was wearing a white suit. The waiters would bring around a 7-course meal to each guest. First was the huge roast the size of a half of a cow that was cooked to perfection, and the server asking me what portion I would like. "What portion would you like," he asked, "for your roast beef?" My mouth is watering just speaking about it. Delicious. The cutlery on the table was so extreme. A small dessert spoon, then a spoon for your coffee, a spoon for your soup, and also a fork and knife for your bread, also a knife to cut your steak, and another fork for appetizers. The soup was served by a waiter, and fresh hot bread was sliced with butter. There was fresh fruit platters and veggies. There was also cooked vegetables like asparagus wrapped in bacon, served with mashed potatoes and cheese. The salad was brought to the table and served by a chef. He asked if you wanted Parmesan cheese on your salad. The waiter even came around with salt and pepper to grind it for you. The presentation of the dining area was like off of the Titanic. The rich, extravagant lifestyle of the rich and famous people of the world. I was actually dining with them all, and I was feeling pretty great. They had huge white napkins beside each plate. Everyone was eating, socializing with one another, and also happy as can be. To top it off, we were all dressed up. Women all decked out in their fancy dresses and heels, with makeup, and their fancy purses, and men all in their suits with ties and dress shoes, with their cologne and all their attire. After our dinner, we all stood up and went into a circle, and then they passed this huge royal-styled metal cup around for each person to drink out of. It was really an expensive wine. We all standed and started to dance around, holding each other's hands and repeating the words that we were asked to say by this one person in the group. We danced around and laughed and clapping the same way. It was actually very fun and quite the experience for me. I never on earth experienced any such thing before, so it was like I was in a movie or on the Titanic ship. Then after that was all done, the girlfriends and the wives were asked to stay sitting at the table while all of the men left to join the meeting together in the other part of the building. They left for a good 2 hours or so, and then they all returned to greet the women. Then it was time to leave the party and go home. Back to our 3-story house with the huge corner lot. It had 4 bedrooms and 3 washrooms, with a massive garage, a security system with cameras galore, large pantry and gas fireplace. Even the blinds were expensive too. I remember shopping and I didn't have to look at prices or anything. If I wanted it, into the grocery cart it went. At Costco or wherever, butcher shop or any deli meats or specialty shop that we would go to, it was about $2,000 per month. I would go to the local meat shops and to the bakery for my breads and baked goods. For fresh seafood and smoked candied salmon was always bought from the coastal fishermen. Fresh live king crabs, oysters, mussels, whatever we wanted basically. When I shopped for clothes, it was at the big ticket luxury stores. I rarely shopped at Walmart or any bargain stores. It was custom made or luxury brands only. I had a home gym, a swimming pool, and a huge deck with a gazebo with lights hanging all around it, a huge stainless steel barbecue, and a massive yard with a garden. We had people to tend to the garden and to come and clean the pool for us. Black leather furniture, a huge table that fits 8 people to sit comfortably, and marble countertops and tabletops. We even had marble chess set too. Marble on the fireplace and throughout the entire house. I still remember shopping almost every day, and I didn't want for anything. We had people to clean our windows, to clean our house, and to clean our gutters. The security system throughout the whole house. My clothes were luxury, so they needed to be dry cleaned only. I received invitations to red carpet events, fashion shows, and other extraordinary, extravagant parties, events with government employees, city officials, and council members only, members of high-standing social groups. I was very impressed with the invites, the company, and the way that I felt when I attended so many gatherings and events. It was actually very fun and quite interesting, but so different from the normal average life, as we all know it to be. The work, eat, sleep lifestyle was non-existent for me. I could sleep whenever I wanted, and dress however I liked too, and also spend as much money on whatever I wished to spend it on. My life had completely changed for me. I was living the lifestyle of the rich and famous, and I didn't even know it at the time because it became so normal for me. I didn't actually realize how much I had, and the material stuff was overwhelming, but so amazing all at the very same time. I owned way over 100 dresses, about maybe 200 skirts, high heels galore, boots. Don't even know how many I had. I owned dozens of purses and handbags. As for diamond jewelry, I owned a 3.10 carat diamond ring and a 1 carat diamond ring, a few sapphires, a ruby. My jewelry armoire was full, and it was fun playing dress up. I would go to the spa for hot stone massages, shellac nails, manicures and pedicures, and to get my hair done regularly. I also owned 3 long, expensive hair wigs. It was fun playing with them. I loved seeing people's reactions when they would see me with my new hair or hairstyle. Now I will get into my boyfriend and his heavy drinking. He was a full-blown alcoholic, and he was also very verbally abusive to me. He would raise his voice, and he was quite crazy. He would constantly complain about everything underneath the sun, the way that I dressed, the colors of clothes that I liked to wear, and so on. After getting drunk and wasted, he would usually try to attempt to cook food or build things like a gazebo the one day. He would also make such a mess in the process. He would throw things around and break stuff. One weekend, his partying got so out of hand, he got so drunk, and it went on for almost all the night, till about 2:30, 3 in the morning. Music so loud, TV loud, fire pit was blazing with fire, and the neighbors were also complaining about the noise that was happening. I still remember this night like it was yesterday. He was breaking beer bottles and getting way out of hand. This was like many weekends that I dreaded to see when Friday came around again. Most people were happy and excited about Fridays. I just wanted to run away come Fridays and take a trip to get away from the crazy drinking and partying that happened every single weekend. So another weekend passed, and another, until this one weekend he got extremely out of hand. He was so drunk on hard liquor, rum, vodka, rum and Coca-Cola, all those heavy hard liquors. Also, he was into a big thing of wine. He owned this armor and sword collection. He would, while being drunk, he would swing around his swords and also dress up in armor. I would usually run and hide in the closet. I was really so tired of living this life of fear, with lots of money and status, but tons of booze, partying, with no respect for my needs as his girlfriend. I decided that it was time for me to start my new journey on my own. So the next morning I packed a couple of bags of my things, and I planned on leaving him the very next day. So I wrote him a letter about how he had to quit the heavy drinking, and his actions and verbal abuse had to stop because it was affecting me, and I didn't want that kind of negativity in my life anymore. I left the note on the table for him so that when he returned from work he would see it, and I stated in the letter that he had to choose between the booze or me. Well, I received a call from him while I was on the Greyhound bus. He was so surprised that I actually got fed up enough with him and left. He also told me that he was choosing the alcohol over me. So I knew exactly where I stood in the relationship, and I thought to myself that I had made the right choice for my life. Life has so many financial twists and turns, but I never thought that this would happen to me, for me to up and leave him, as he was worth $50 million and filthy rich, and I was even engaged to marry him. I guess everyone has a breaking point, and I found mine that weekend. So I headed on the road across Canada back to see my family. Now I am traveling across Canada and living on the road. This is how I got here.